Oh my goodness. Hello, beautiful people. It's Adrian, and you're welcome. Welcome back to the channel where I talk about my unfiltered thoughts and opinions that nobody asked for. If that sounds like something that you're into, like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get right into today's episode. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing great. I'm doing amazing. So, yeah, without wasting any time, let's get right into today's episode. Right? Right. Yeah, let's do this. Anyways, man, I don't know where we got this mindset and philosophy from where we always used to be told that whenever we were pursuing something, whether that was a dream, a goal, it could be anything or even someone, and things would get hard, then it automatically meant that we needed to pursue that particular goal even harder. You're working on something. Again, it could be anything, it doesn't matter what it is, and things are not going your way, and you're not quite getting it yet, you're not quite getting there and getting the kind of results that you want. The thing that would always come to our mind, at least I'm going to speak for myself, to my mind, is you need to try harder, you need to work harder in order for you to like attain this thing. And that was good, that was all fun and everything, but it was fun until it wasn't. When I started to learn that in my like mid teens there, it was fine until my mid teens when I started to learn that, not every single thing that is hard is worth pursuing. And again, for the longest time, I used to think that if you wanted something and you wanted to go after something, and the journey to you trying to acquire that thing, anytime the journey to you trying to acquire that thing would get hard, then it meant that you needed to work harder in case you to work harder in order for you to get that thing. And again, it used to work until it didn't work anymore. I remember in my mid-teens, I just got to this point where again I was also trying to like pursue something and just trying the best that I possibly can in order for me to get it, and I just couldn't get there. And anytime I couldn't get there and get the kind of result that I wanted, what I did, like everybody else, is I tried harder. You grow up and you get told things, whenever things get hard, you need to try harder. Never give up, never give up, never give up. Again, that's good. It's a good mindset to have until it's not anymore. And in my mid-teens, I just learned that, maybe not every single thing that's hard is worth pursuing. Not every single time things get hard is a sign for you to push harder in order for you to get that thing. Sometimes it's a sign for you to give up. Sometimes it's a sign for you to take a step back and try to analyze and examine and ask yourself, why is this getting hard? Like, is this thing even for me in the first place? Do I even really want this thing to begin with? Do I want it, or do I want it because I actually want it and it's coming from this genuine place of desire and ambition? Or do I want this because other people want it, and therefore I feel this pressure and need to want this particular thing and pursue it? And again, I think those are really important questions for us to always ask ourselves. Again, like everybody else, anytime I would want to go after something and things would get hard, I would just try harder and harder and harder. And sometimes that is not the way to go. Sometimes not every single thing that we try to pursue is worth pursuing. Just because something is hard is not a sign for you to push harder in order for you to acquire it. I remember this particular time where, again, I was just trying to get to a certain place and it wasn't working out for me. And again, like everybody else, I just tried harder and harder and harder in order for me to get there. And instead of me putting all that work and energy into trying to get this thing, getting me closer to that particular goal, what it did, it ended up doing the opposite. It just made me really, really freaking miserable. I'm not even trying to exaggerate, but it like made me really, really miserable. And the more miserable I got trying to get to this place, the more I tried harder, because in my head I was like, it just means that I'm not trying harder, you know what I mean? That's what everybody says, you know, you try to pursue something and you get to this point where things are not working out, then all it means is I'm not doing enough. So it means that I need to push myself harder and harder in order for me to get this thing. And that's what I kept doing. And the more I did that, the more I kept pushing myself, the more miserable I just became, the more and more miserable I became. Again, instead of me sitting with myself and try to like examine why I felt the way that I felt and why things weren't going my way, and try to take a step back and examine every single thing and how everything has been working out, and how everything had been working out for me so far, what I did was, no, 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 that's not what I need to be doing right now. It just means that I'm not getting the results that I want right now because I'm not working harder. What I need to do is work more and more and more, and just put more effort, physically and just mentally, and just do better. And I kept doing that again and again and again and again. All that did was just make me miserable as hell. And it was at that time where I was like, you know what, I think I give up. I reached this point where after months and months and months of me trying to get to this place where things were just not working out, things were not aligning. I don't know what it was, but again, I didn't have that ability or understanding to know when to push harder and just push myself more, or to take a step back and try to examine things and question things and ask myself, why is this not working out right now? What do I need to do right now? Do I need to put more work in, or do I need to take a step back? Or am I even trying to control a situation that is outside of my control, and it doesn't matter what I try to do, it's not going to end up working out because it's outside of my control. It has nothing to do with me and more to do with other external factors, you know? And again, I would just try to do more, but it was until I got to this place where I was just burnt out. Like seriously, I was like burnt out, and I got to this point. I was like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. You know, I've been trying to make this thing work, and nothing is working out. Nothing is working out, and I kind of started to give up in a way. I kind of like started to give up, and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, man. Like I've been trying to do this thing, and it's not working out. It's not working out, and I tried harder and harder to make it work, and it's not working out. So for that reason, I quit. I don't want to do it anymore, and I was just genuinely tired and burnt out to the point where I kind of like started to resent this thing, even though it always used to be something that I was passionate about and always wanted to go after. But after so many attempts, you know, to try to get to this place where I wanted to get to and nothing working out, I just got to this point where I was just like exhausted. I was burnt out. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was like, you know, I give up. I don't want to do it anymore. I was just like really pissed. I was like, I give up. I have no energy left. I have no mental or physical energy left for me to keep going after this thing, and for that reason I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. Again, it took me to really be burnt out in order for me to get to this point where I was like, I don't want to do it anymore, because I kept trying and trying and trying and harder, trying harder and harder and harder again, until I was completely fried and burnt out, and I was like, you know what, I give up. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. When I finally decided to give up, because not because I wanted to give up, but because at this point I had no choice, and I was just like completely burnt out and had no mental capacity or strength to keep going anymore. And I was just like, you know, I don't want to do this anymore. That is when the magic started to happen. I'm not even kidding. That is when the good stuff wanted to happen, because something that I didn't understand at the time was that during this period of my life, what I needed was not for me to try harder on anything, or me trying to get this thing. That is not what I needed. What my soul, my body, and my mind, and just my overall journey needed was for me to take a step back and give up. basically let go of control. And I've talked about this a lot on this channel about the fact that I'm kind of like a control freak. Again, not in a bad way, in a sense like I want to control everybody else and all these people and every single situation in my life. More like a control freak, but to myself. I want to make sure that I'm in control of my life and every single thing that I'm trying to do, and nothing outside can be able to like shake me or try to like, I guess, influence the decision that I try to make or come in between the decisions that I try to make. I just always try to like make sure that things are going the way they're supposed to. So like, yeah, kind of like a control freak. You know what I mean? So because of that and me being the control freak that I am, I always try to be in control of everything and try to like control how things show up or how things end up happening in my life, and that was not good. And most especially during this period in my life, that is not what I needed. I didn't need to work harder or smarter or try to move the pieces to like make things go my way. That is not what I needed. What I needed during this point of my life was for me to just take my hands off the wheel and let life take me wherever it needed to take me. It was this point where I needed to let the current take me wherever it needed to take me. It was not my place for me to try and be in control, because it didn't matter what I tried to do or tried to like control the situations and everything. Nothing worked. Nothing worked out, and I kept trying harder because again I thought that maybe I wasn't trying hard enough, so I kept doing more. But that's not what I needed to do. In order for instead of me going forward because I was doing more work, I was just going backwards again and again and again. It was just like confusing me and kind of like pissing me off. I was like, what is not working out right now? Like, I'm doing more, I'm supposed to be ahead. Why is everything working against me right now? What am I doing wrong? But when I gave up and kind of like started to take my hands off the wheel, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, that is when the magic finally started to happen. And that's what I needed during that period of my life. I needed to let go of control. I needed to just let life take me where it needed to take me. And I think if you're someone who's like a control freak like me, that is like so hard to do, you know, letting go of control and just letting life, I guess, do its own thing and take you where it needs to do that, and basically take you where it needs to take you. That is scary as hell. That is scary. Again, I don't know if you're a control freak as well, but I don't know. That is just, I cannot, I'm like, no, because I like to think that every single thing that happens to me, or most things that happen in my life, they happen because of me and my own decisions and what I choose to do. I like to think that I am in control of my life and every single thing comes from me and not like at me. In a way, it's like, yeah, I'm in control of everything that is happening. It's either my fault or I'm the one who's like in charge, and not and not some like other people or other or some other person out there, or I don't know. I don't know. Whatever you believe in, I'd like to think that I'm the one in control, and the things that are happening to me right now, they're happening because of me and my own decisions and what I choose to do, not some external factor out there. And that is good. You know, that is good to be someone who always takes responsibility and try to like be in charge of your own life. It's a good thing, but it's good until it's not, because I'm sorry, but not every single thing that happens to you is because of you and the decisions that you end up making. We are human, okay? We're human. We are in this world where we have to coexist and live with other people. Not every single thing that is going to happen is going to happen because we had something to do with. You know, we have free will. I have free will. You have free will. Other people have free will. And we basically have to coexist with each other. And not every single thing that's going to happen is going to be like the result of your own decisions, or the things that you end up doing or try, or situations that you try to like partake in and all this kind of stuff. It's like not every single thing that happens is because of us. You know, there is so many things that are outside of our control. And I think to me that did not make sense. I guess It kind of did in a way, but I just did not want to accept it. I just did not want to accept it because it always meant that me accepting that I'm not always in control of my life and there are things out there that could happen because just that's how life works and not because it had anything to do with me. That thought alone used to scare the hell out of me because then it meant that I wasn't in control of myself and my own life, which meant that I am the weak one. You know, I'm the one who's like not in control. Basically, anything can happen to me, and I will not have any say or any power. Or I will just be left in this place where there is nothing that I can do to fix it or try to change that situation. And that to me is just like, no, that we're not going to be doing that. You know what I mean? We're not going to be doing that. I'm the one who's in control here. And every single thing that happens is because it happened because of me and the choices that I ended up making, and that is just not true. Again, it's not true because we live with other people, and not every single thing that happens to us or that happens in our lives happens because of us. There's so many external factors, and again, it does. I don't know what you believe in, but there's just so much that happens because that's just life and that's just how things are, and not every single thing that happens has to do with us. It doesn't always mean that there is something that we didn't do or something that we could have done better, or there was a way for us to change things. Sometimes things just happen and that's it. Sometimes things just are, and there's nothing that we can do to change them because that's just life. Not because we were dumb or smart, and it doesn't matter what we would have done in that situation, it would still end up leaving us in the same place. So me trying to like be in control and make things happen instead of it helping me grow, it ended up hurting me even more and just like leaving me in this really miserable place, which I just did not want to admit. But I finally was like, you know what, this is not working out for me. And I think it's also a skill that you need to learn. You have to really learn how to know that this is for me, this is not for me. When things get hard, it means that I need to try harder and push harder, or it means that I need to take a step back and kind of like take my hands off the wheel and let life do its thing and take me where it needs to take me, because at the end of the day you're just going to end up where you're supposed to end up. Not every single thing that happens has something to do with you or somebody else out there, and there's like something that you can try to do to make things better. Sometimes things are the way they are just because that's just life, and there's nothing that you can try to do to change the situation. When I finally learned that, that's when I started to be more in tune with myself, my body, my emotions, and my thoughts, and my overall spirit. And that's when I started to learn, oh, this is for me. This is who I am. This is not for me. This is, if this happens, it means that I need to try harder and work harder. But in this other situation, if this happens, it means that I need to take a step back and let go. And that is a hard lesson that I needed to learn. I really needed to learn it the hard way, because anytime things would get hard again, I would try to work harder and make things even way hard for myself than they already were, you know. So, and that just was not good. It was just like you take two steps ahead and then it takes you 10 steps in the back, you know, and where you really didn't want to be at. And I just think it's just so important for you to learn when to take action and when to do something and just put that work in, and when to let go. And again, that was really hard for me to learn, because again, I just refuse to be the kind of person who believe that sometimes sometimes there will be things that will be out of your control, and it does not matter what you do, you will not have any say or any control when it comes to how things will end up playing. And the best that you can do is just sit back, relax, and hope for the best, because not every single thing has to do with you or me, you know what I mean? So I think it's a really, really valuable lesson that it really go. Oh god, I really, it did, I really had to like be miserable. It really had to beat me up. I really, it's one of those lessons that I really had to learn the hard way, because again, anytime things would get hard, I would try harder, and that's not what I needed to do. That the thing that I needed to do was for me to take a step back and let go. And I think now I've gone to this place where I've taken the time to get to know myself more. You know, there is always room for improvement, generally speaking, but I think I've taken more than enough time to get to know myself more and know who I am and what I believe to be true, my values and beliefs, and my philosophy and all that kind of stuff. And I've gone to this point where I know who I am. Like, I mostly know who I am. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. I know what kind of people are for me. I know what kind of people are not for me. I know what kind of things are for me and what kind of things are not for me. And I'm now just so in tune with my spirit and myself and just like the world in general, where when things get hard, it's not always like a sign for me to try harder. You know, sometimes things don't work with certain people, and instead of me working harder to try to make things work like I would, now I'm just in a point where to be like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna do anything because I don't have to. You know what I mean? I don't have to. You know, so you don't have to just be miserable. There is nothing. You don't get a prize for making your life more miserable and making your life harder than it already is. You don't get a prize for that. And for the longest time, I used to just like do the most to make things way harder than they already were, because I thought that if things weren't working out, it meant that I needed to be doing more. But a lot of the times it just needed that it just meant that I needed to give up and let go of that control and just like get to this point where I was like, you know what? No, actually, this is not for me, and I don't have to suffer for nothing. And I made that decision a long time ago, and I just decided that, you know what? I'm not gonna make myself more miserable than I already am. I'm not gonna make my life harder than it already is. Obviously, I'm not miserable. I'm a very happy person. I just said that to say that so that I can get my point across. But yeah, I'm just like, you know what? I just got to this point where I was like, I don't have to make my life harder than what it already is, because you don't get anything out of it. I tried it again and again and again. Again, you don't get a prize for being a miserable person and just making your life way harder than it has to be. You know, so next time you try to pursue something, a goal, it could be anything, and things start to get hard, you need to ask yourself, what do I need to do right now? Do I need to put more work in, or do I need to let go of the wheel and let life do its thing, you know? Or do I need to just like let go of that control, or do I need to work harder? But you're not gonna know that if you're not in tune with yourself. You're not gonna know that if you haven't done the work and basically taken that time to get to know yourself more and know who you are and what you want and what kind of people are for you and what kind of opportunities are for you and what kind of things are for you and what kind of stuff are not for you. If you haven't taken the time to get to know yourself more and work all of that out, it's always going to be really hard for you to make those decisions, because you're always going to be left in this really conflicted kind of mindset where you're like, you don't know what to do and what not to do and what decision to make and what not to make and what path to embark on and what journey not to embark on and all that kind of stuff. But when you actually take that time to get to know yourself more, that's when it will be easier. Like, for example, with me right now, it's so easy for me to like make decisions. I know what's for me and what's not for me, even when it comes to people, friends, significant others, and all that kind of stuff. I know when to be like, when things start to get weird, I know when to be like, you know, I actually gonna put more work in and try to see if this thing is gonna work. Or when things get hard, I know when to be like, you know what, actually I don't have to do any of this thing. I actually don't want this. This is not who I am. This is not who I represent. This is not what I want. And for that reason, I choose to give up, because not every single thing that's hard is worth pursuing. Every time things get hard, that is not a sign for you to try harder in order for you to get something. Sometimes it's a sign for you to let things go, because not everyone or everything is for you, and the more you try to push things to like work your way, because uh you have this vision or this mindset and these thoughts of how you think things are supposed to be happening. Sometimes that is not what's actually best for us. That's not always what's supposed to be happening. Sometimes you have this vision of how things are supposed to play out, and when things don't go that way, you start to panic and you start to lose that, and you're like, okay, now it means that I need to do more. No, that's not what it means. Sometimes it just means that you need to take your hands off the wheel and let go, or let go of that person or that situation or that thing, because it's not for you. Not everything that's hard is worth pursuing. Anytime things get hard is not a sign for you to try harder. Sometimes it's a sign for you to just let go. Maybe it's a sign for you to take a break and do some self-reflection work. Maybe it's a sign for you to just like let life and let that current just like take you where it needs to take you. Or sometimes it just means that you need to try harder and just do more. But sometimes you need to give up. Sometimes you need to let go. Sometimes you need to let go of that control, because man, if you don't, you're gonna have to learn the hard way, like I had to. And I don't want that for you. That's not pretty. That journey is not the prettiest, and I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. So learn to do that, learn to do that. But you can't learn to do that if you haven't taken the time to get to know yourself more and get to know what you want and what you don't want, and what's for you and what's not for you. You know what I mean? Not every single thing that is hard, it means then you have to like do more in order for you to get it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to learn to give up. Sometimes the best thing that you can do for yourself is just let go of someone or something, or give up on something, because it's not working out for you, and it basically does not represent the kind of person that you currently are. That's not gonna happen overnight. You're not gonna wake up one day and know how to do this and be a better decision maker, and just know yourself more, and know when to say no and when to say yes, and know when to go and work harder, or when to take a step back and do some more self-reflection work, or let the current take you wherever it needs to take you. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And with me, again, I'm at a point where I've kind of like mastered it. I'm not bragging, but I'm kind of like, I'm good. I'm really good. I've just learned to just be a way better decision maker, and I always know when to go and when to stay back, when to do something and when not to do something. And I'm just overall very clear on what I want and what I don't want. I'm also very, very intentional when it comes to who I want in my circle and who I don't want. What kind of people I want to be around and what kind of people I don't want to be around. What kind of things I want to do and what kind of things I don't want to do. What I want to spend my time and energy on and what I don't want to spend my time and energy on. And to me, those things are just non-negotiable. Because again, I know who I am and I know what I want. It doesn't matter what somebody might think from the outside, looking at me and being like, why are you not doing this? I'm not doing that. Like, leave me alone. You know what I mean? Like, I know what I want and I know what I don't want. So I'm not gonna waste my time, trying to spend that more on things and people that I just don't care about. Like, I'm not gonna do that. If I'm not happy around certain people or doing certain things, I'm not gonna try harder in order to make those things work. Sometimes it just is a sign for you to take a step back or walk away from those situations. And I think it's just something and a skill that you need to learn. Again, it's not gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take time in order for you to get there, but you're gonna get there. I got there. I'm here. You know what I mean? And life has never been better. Not every single thing now. So now I just allow things to be easy for me. Not every single thing has to be hard. And I don't know what it is with me. And thinking that if something is not hard or if something is easy, then it means that it's not worth pursuing. But sometimes the things that are worth pursuing are the easiest. And when things are easy doesn't mean that it's not worth pursuing, but what it actually means is it's basically for you. You are aligned. You're aligned. And when you are aligned, things don't feel hard. They don't feel confusing. They feel easy to understand and to get and attain. So I think it's just something that's really important for you to learn and know that not every single hard thing that you go through, or every time you try to make things harder, then there's like some kind of prize that you're gonna get. There is no prize that you're getting. You know what I mean? I had to learn that the hard way, and I just thought that it was the conversation that I wanted to have, because I went through this journey on my own and got to learn these things a long time ago, and why not talk about it with you guys so that you guys can also know that and learn and have some wisdom, little nuggets of wisdom here and there, because I just love you so much and care about you so much, and I just thought that it was a topic that I wanted to talk about. And yeah, that is basically all that I have to say for today's episode. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. I'm just like yapping and just like talking and going and going, and I need to stop, because if I don't, this is just gonna be a really, really long episode, and I don't think we want to be doing that. So yeah, that is all I have to say for today's episode. I love you. I love you, and I love you, and I love you again and again and again. Again, take care of yourself. If you're new, hello. Subscribe, like the video, join the family, It's a beautiful family over here. And yeah, again, I love you. Take care of yourself. And that's all. I guess I'll see you guys on the next one. Yeah, I love you a lot. I want you to know that. I really do, though. Seriously. And yeah, that's all I have to say for today's episode, and I will see you guys on the next one. I need to shut up. If I don't, I'm not gonna stop. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Like and subscribe. I love you. Sending you virtual hugs and kisses, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Subscribe. Bye bye.